Welcome back, everybody. And I have an amazing guest on today, and I do have to thank all of you for your support. It's been fantastic. You guys are sharing this. We're blowing up on iTunes. We're trending. I also need to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. They've been fantastic. They're supporting us. They're actually getting the word out and spreading this. And these stories that have been shared have helped so many people. And today's going to be no different. I am so excited for you guys to meet Jill Nystul. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is absolutely a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I want to give you guys a little background on Jill. She's an amazing individual who has been through a lot, an awful lot, and she's going to share that with us today. She's overcome an addiction. There was a time in her life where she said she was miserable, and we're going to kind of talk about those things, but now she gives back on a daily basis. She's overcome the addiction. She's doing amazing things. She is the creator of One Good Thing by Jillee. It's a blog that's just amazing. I think it says here she has over 4 million page views a month. Mm-hmm. That's phenomenal. And we were just talking off there that she just started it on a whim, wanted to give back, do something good. And this just is proof that if we're passionate about something and we're trying to help other people, good things happen. She launched the site in 2011 on a simple premise to share one good thing with her readers each day. Millions of people now look to Jillee each month for useful tips on living a better life. She's also the author of One Good Life. And is that recently? Is that just come out recently?
May of 2015.
2015, great. And it's an amazing book. If you haven't read it or know that, please get that. She's been featured, on Good Housekeeping, Better Homes and Garden, People.com, BuzzFeed.com, Oprah.com. You were on the Today Show, the Oprah Winfrey Network. I mean, this is amazing. And it goes on, guys. I could read this for another 10 minutes, but I'm going to just stop there.
Please do.
Yeah. Yeah, she's over there going, wow, But I want our listeners to kind of get an idea of how amazing things are going for you. And it goes back to what I said earlier, when we help other people and we're passionate about what we do, good things happen. And so again, welcome and thanks for being on the Believe Cast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's give our little listeners a background. Tell us a little bit about growing up and a little bit about your family, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I always say that I pretty much had an idyllic childhood. I grew up in Southern California. My parents were great parents. My dad was a self-made man. He started an electrical contracting business after he got married. They're actually from Kanosh and Fillmore, Utah, so two little towns.
Yeah, they're small.
And then they moved to Southern California after they got married, and it really was what I call an idyllic lifestyle. But I think it was masquerading a lot of insecurities I had. But when I look back, I can't complain really about anything that happened then. Sure. It was kind of, I guess, maybe just small seeds were being sown about my own self-confidence and things like that. Right. So it didn't, when I talk about my addiction and stuff, it's very different from most, because a lot of times younger people, teenagers, young adults are going through it. But I was in my 40s, and I call myself a late bloomer when it comes to addiction, because I had, so far, I had everything that I thought I wanted. I was married, I had 4 kids, but I realized that I had everything I wanted, and I was miserable.
Sure. Were you close with your parents growing up?
Yes,
did you guys have a tight relationship?
Which it always kind of confuses me, because I have been through rehab. I've heard the stories. I feel like, I just count my blessings, because so many people have such rough childhoods. Yeah. That wasn't the case with me. I guess all of my anxieties and self-esteem issues came to a boiling point much later for me, after I was married with children.
Right. Did you notice growing up that you did struggle with your self-esteem, but you said you kind of buried it or not talked about it?
Very much. I definitely, in my awkward years, 12, 14, 16, struggled with self-esteem issues, but I kind of masqueraded them or overcame them being outgoing. So I was the ASB president of my junior high. Okay. I always got really good grades. I was always really social. But that was another way to just kind of bury those.
Yeah, kind of overcompensated
right.
to kind of bury those things.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have 2 brothers and 4 sisters. 3 sisters. There's 4 of us, so 6 altogether. They were good examples. Like my 2 older brothers went to BYU, and then I had a Brigham Young University, and then I had a sister that went, but she didn't stay. And I always knew I wanted to go there, and so I made that a goal, and I went there, and I had, a good experience there, and I graduated and got the job that I wanted. So everything was pretty smooth up until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Well, so you graduate from college, and then were you married at that point, or did you get married after college? Or?
After college, I got my first job. I went to Brigham Young University and got a degree in broadcast journalism. It's a communications degree. Okay. And I took the path of a big fish in a small pond, and I went for my first job in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
So imagine, Southern California. This is the day after Christmas that I moved there. Day after Christmas, I moved from Southern California to Bismarck, North Dakota.
Wow.
I got off the plane. My dad took me out on the plane because he was going to buy me a car for my graduation present for college. And it was snowing sideways. Like, I was like, what is going on? It was so windy. There's no mountains. It's just wind and snow and cold.
And they're like, this is a normal day.
Yeah. I was like, what have I done? Yeah. And I wanted out of there so fast, but I stuck it out and it worked out. Right. But I got my first job in Bismarck, North Dakota, and that's where I met my future husband.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was he was from Fargo, North Dakota, and he was there on his first job as a videographer. So I was a reporter, and he was a videographer. We go out on stories together. It's very romantic.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And we ended up getting married. We both worked in the business. We both moved from North Dakota to Minneapolis, and we both worked at KSTP there. Okay. I produced a talk show there. And then we ended up, I dragged him back to California because I was like, I don't think I can handle Minnesota. I mean, it's a beautiful state, but the winters are brutal.
The winters are tough.
Yeah. The rest of the year, I love it. I love the people there. I love the area. But I dragged him back to California. He started his own video production company, and we started our family.
Okay.
And we had 2 children there and 2 children after we moved to Heber.
Okay.
Which is a big part of the story because we wanted to move out of California because it's just so crowded now. My oldest, my first child was ready to go into school. I didn't want to put him into school there unless it was private, but we can afford that. My parents had a cabin in Heber for many years that we had gone to, and we just loved it there. Whenever we went, we were like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
So we kind of, took a leap of faith, and we moved up there, and my husband started, he was still doing freelance in California, kind of going back and forth. He ended up getting a really good job with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's a director of photography, and he's worked with them since then.
Okay.
So I'm moving from Southern California to Heber City.
Right.
And as much as I loved it when I visited there, living there is a little bit of a different story. It was just such a culture shock. I will say nothing bad about Heber. It was nothing to do with Heber itself. It was such a shock for me.
Yeah, it's just different.
Right, very different.
There's no traffic at 11 a.m. like there is in LA.
No, exactly. There's no freeways. And and that really was hard for me. I felt like I was being kind of forced into this mold, and I felt like people were judging me more, and people knew everybody's business more. And at my core, I think I'm a rebel. Not in the sense that I want to go out and just do everything wrong. I just don't like people to tell me what to do.
Right. Yeah, sure.
So that sparked the rebel in me. And there's a lot of other extenuating circumstances that it was like the perfect storm when this all went down.
Sure.
Because I was overweight from having babies. I had postpartum depression anxiety with all 4 of my children.
Okay.
We were having financial struggles. We were having marriage struggles. It really was the perfect storm. And so...
Is that where you described how you said you were miserable? Is this like where...
I had everything I ever thought I wanted, and I was miserable.
And you were miserable.
Yeah.
I think that happens to a lot of people. Like, okay, if I get the family, if I get the kids, if I get the job, if we get our home, all these external things, which are good and they're necessary, but it doesn't necessarily bring us the happiness that we thought that it might, right?
Exactly.
I hear this a lot.
Oh, it is so universal, and I wish there were a class when I was growing up somewhere that taught me you need to do what you're passionate about, and you can't just do the things that you think you're going to like and that society tells you should do, like getting married, having children.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to raise children and everything, but I lost myself in that process, and I did not make myself a priority.
Yeah.
And pursuing your passion can look like a million things. It can be a career, or it can be a hobby, or it can be a charity, or it can be a million different things. But I wasn't doing any of it. I was just focusing solely on my family, my husband, and nothing else.
Right. And your nephew that we were talking about, Scott Warner, who I admire a lot. He talks a lot about that passion piece.
Absolutely.
Like when you're passionate about something, man, you can change the world. And I think it is important that we do find what that might be. Yeah, it's important to raise family and kids and all that, but we also have to have that kind of that drive for something, our why.
Absolutely.
Right?
And honestly, I feel like that can't be said enough to people. I talk about it a lot in presentations I do. Ways to find your passion, because it's not so easy as to just like, okay, I should find my passion because I'm not happy. But there's a lot of creative exercises you can do to find it, see what you really are passionate about. And luckily I was able to find mine through starting the blog. I actually started the blog because I had just gotten out of rehab, and I was living that kind of, one day at a time philosophy. And so just to kind of help myself along, I was sharing one good thing a day. Just to and it was just,
I love it.
That's why it started, and it absolutely became my passion.
Well, I really want to get into this, but let's go back just a little bit, because so you're kind of in this place, and you're feeling like you said, miserable, depressed. What led up to when you decided to have a drink? Let's talk about that.
So, like I said, I had everything I thought I wanted, and I was miserable. So I started looking for new ways to live my life. I knew something wasn't right, but I wasn't smart enough to figure out, the right way to do it. First of all, I had stayed home for 10 years raising my kids. First thing I did was I looked for a job. We needed me to be working because, financial issues. So I ended up getting a job at a television station in Salt Lake City, Utah, and producing a talk show, because I had done that previously in Minnesota. And it kind of got me back into the workforce and different colleagues and in a newsroom and in a corporate setting. And so I made new friends, and television newsrooms are notoriously like a lot of like gypsy type people that move all around the country all the time. They're just like kind of crazy people. And I just wanted something more. And so I started, hanging out with them and just kind of trying to reclaim a piece of me by doing that. Someone had a birthday, so after work they went out to a bar to celebrate, and that's literally how it started. My first drink, I was like, I'm going to try this and see, if I can. And it was fun at first.
Right, and you were how old at this point? 40?
I was around 40, because I had my last child at 37, and he was about 3 at the time. So it was right about 40. And it was simply just going out, social, no harm, no foul, and being the person that I am, and the very obsessive, addictive personality that I have. It took off. Like a year and a half later, I was at the bottom. I had hit my rock bottom.
So obviously you have this drink, you enjoyed it, and then you're probably thinking, okay, I'm going to start doing this.
Right.
And then it obviously progresses to where you're drinking every day. I'm assuming.
For sure. First it was very, just after work, and, which is in and of itself, from the very beginning, it was so wrong, because after that drink, I had to drive home to Heber. So, and I wasn't drunk, but I didn't know how to handle liquor. I'd never drank it in my life.
Right.
So, it did not take long before I was using it kind of to escape, my life that I wasn't happy with. Plus, it got to a point where I started using it to deal with my pain. Because it's a very good anesthetizer. Like you're starting to feel something painful. Oh, I'll just drink and then I won't feel anything.
Right.
But then, sadly, the pain just comes back 100-fold.
So let's go back just a little bit. Did your husband know that you were miserable before you had the drink, even because you were struggling? Did he know that?
Mm-mm.
So you kind of, because I'm kind of getting the feeling you kind of did what you did when you were a little girl, where you had these issues, but you just put on the happy face and everything's okay.
Those are very true words, and I can tell you're a counselor because you can just see right through me. When I was in rehab, I had counselors look at me and just say, and I'm like, how did you know that? Yeah. I was definitely, he didn't have a clue. And on top of that, we had the worst communication skills with each other. Yeah, it was the big elephant in the corner of the room. We didn't address it, and we did. We both graduated in communications, and we were the worst at communicating. It's kind of ironic,
right?
But no, he didn't have a clue, but he started to clue into the fact that I was drinking. That didn't take very long because he used to drink, as a teenager and in college. He stopped drinking like when he was like 28 years old. And, he knew the signs, and I was just bound and determined to just do things my own way. And he kind of had to just sit back and try and, control the chaos the best he could. Because I was definitely injecting chaos into my family's life very, very quickly.
Yeah. So it obviously got to a point where he realized, okay, you're drinking, or did you confess it to him, or did he just see like, wow?
I think he just knew. Like, I think he knew it, and then he did, confront me, and I'm like, it's my business. I'm going to do what I want. And I was very, like I said, it was very late bloomer in that rebellious phase of my life. But I had, like you said, I had squashed it down for so long. And you can't. It's going to come out sometime. In some way.
How did your kids know what was going on at this time?
Obviously
the younger ones probably didn't.
Yeah, the younger ones not, but the older ones were 14 and 16, roughly around those ages while I was going through it. And, they knew. And if I have any regret in life, that's the one it's hardest for me to get over, is how it affected my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I look at the big, big picture, I think there were a lot of blessings that came from it, because they were able to, realize that tough times happen and you can get through them, and you shouldn't judge other people for the things they're going through, because it could be you. But that was very hard, and it was hard for me to forgive myself for the issues that they had from that, and probably still continue to. It was a hard time. That's a formative time of their. My oldest was very angry with me. He was very angry, and before I got help, it was, I would just drink more, than I don't have to think about it. And it got to be where I was drinking every day. And then I started hiding it, even though he knew, I was drinking socially. Then I started, bringing it home and hiding it. And so he didn't know how much I was drinking. Gotcha. And then it soon spiraled out of control.
Well, what led up to where you decided, did something happen that led you, I need help? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was drinking so much that I could get to work the next day and my hands would be shaking. And I'm trying to set together a demonstration for this talk show that I worked on in the kitchen, and I couldn't even, my hands were shaking so much. I'm like, that can't be good. Right. And I was blacking out. I couldn't remember what happened the night before. My kids would say, Mom, I told you that. And I'd be like, really? And it was mortifying.
Sure.
And it all came to a culmination, and I hit what we all call our rock bottom, which we all do need to.
Right.
After a lot of other things that I could go on for hours about, but it was Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, my brother had set up a counseling session for me somewhere, because he knew, I was drinking. Everybody knew by this point, because I was a mess. And, he wanted me to get help. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then instead of going to the counselor, I got drunk, of course.
Right.
So I was in Salt Lake City, which is an hour from my home.
Sure.
And I called my parents and said, I can't find or they probably called me. I wouldn't have called them at this point.
Right.
What are you doing? Where are you? Why aren't you a counselor? I couldn't find it. And it was that moment when my dad said something to me that is probably the most hurtful thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And he said, "That's because you're a drunk." And my heart, of course, broke in two. And then I decided I should probably go drink some more, to deal with that pain. Yeah, it hurt.
Because it was true.
Because it was true.
Yeah,
and
it just. Yeah.
I get chills right now just thinking about it, because my dad has always been a wonderful, wonderful dad, and he just reached the end of his rope as well as everybody else in my life.
He's like, I'm going to just tell her like I see it.
And so I'm like, well, if I'm a drunk, I might as well prove it to him. I'll prove it to him. So I think I got like a box of wine, and I'm in my car, and I'm drinking. I don't think I wasn't driving. I was just drinking. And then I thought, well, it's like Thanksgiving Eve. I probably should maybe head back to my house. And so I got as far as Park City, and I parked in the parking lot of a Holiday Inn, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I have to just stay here tonight. I can't go home. I don't know what to do, basically. So I sat there in my car and drank. And then by then I blacked out. I was just sitting in my car. Last I remember, I was sitting in my car drinking. Okay. And when the next thing I knew, it was like 6 a.m. I was sitting on the couch of the Holiday Inn with some stranger's coat over me.
Really?
So I don't remember. I have no recollection how that happened. And that scared me to death because, as you can imagine, anything could have happened.
Well, yeah,
but
absolutely.
Luckily, there was some good Samaritan who probably saw that I was passed out in my car or something and took me in, put me on the couch, gave me their coat. To this day, I don't know who it was.
Really?
I went up to the counter and I said, because I just woke up, I'm sitting in the Holiday Inn on a couch. I didn't know how I got there. It was terrifying. And I went up and I said, I don't know whose coat this is. And do you know anything? And they didn't know. They had no idea. I was surprised they had called the police on me or something.
What I'm doing laying on our couch.
I was sitting there asleep, and they didn't know anything. So I gave the coat back to her, got in my car, and drove to Heber. And this is Thanksgiving Day. I spent the entire day just driving the back roads of Heber and just drinking from I couldn't go home. Yeah, I couldn't go home. I was lost. I was completely lost. Yeah. Utterly lost. And I was just drinking, the back roads, like gravel roads. And finally, some power higher than me drove my car into the direction of my house and got me home safely. I don't know how. It was like 7 at night. My family had no idea they didn't know if I was dead or alive. I'd been gone like 24 hours.
Yeah, you've been gone with
or
no
more.
contact, right?
Yeah, I turned my cell phone off.
Yeah.
Nothing. And that was it. That was the rock bottom. And the next morning, I got up and there was a piece of paper on the kitchen counter, and it had a name, Jeremy, and it had a phone number. And nobody else was around. I'm not sure. I can't even remember exactly why, but I just knew that name and phone number had been left there for me. And so I don't know what made me do it, but I picked up the phone and I called that number. And the person said, "This is Jeremy. How can I help you?" I said, "I need help. I can't help myself. I've tried to stop so many times. This is the last time."
Yeah, I can't keep.
And I couldn't do it by myself. So, and that happened to be someone at a rehab center that my husband had researched.
Gotcha.
Found out, got the phone number, and that was the beginning.
That was the beginning. Wow. Wow. So, did you go right into rehab right then, or was it a few weeks after?
No, it was within days because Jeremy said, "I want you here today." He's like, "No, I'm not."
That's usually
around.
what they would say.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I got there, my husband drove me, and when I got there, I saw this gate that was closed. So I'm like, "Wait a minute," because I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
I just knew there was a Jeremy who was going to help me, and there's a gate that's closed, and you have to they have to let
punch
you in.
A code in or whatever. Yeah.
And I sat there and talked with Jeremy, and I said, "Well, can I do just outpatient? I can't do it. I have a job. I can't lose my job." And he said, "Nope, you need inpatient." And I just started bawling. I had no idea what I was in for. And
sure.
And so I think it was within days I was in there. And this was a couple weeks before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And so here I have 4 kids and their mom's in rehab over Christmas. It was really, really difficult. I tried not to. I tried everything I could think of to get out of it. But I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew I needed the help.
You needed the help. Tough time of year because you're usually with family, right? Holidays and things like that.
But I made a new family in rehab, and we all kind of banded together. They did let me go for 24 hours on Christmas, and there was a gal with me who didn't have anyone to go to, so she came home. And that was a really memorable Christmas for us because we helped someone.
How was your family reacting to you, say, on this Christmas day? Here you are, you've been in rehab. How did the kids respond, and how did your husband respond?
Everyone was so relieved to get me, out of their lives. I honestly think they were happy that I was not in that, for sure. Yeah.
Now they know at least where you're at and you're safe.
They knew it was safe, and their life was not chaotic for a little while. It was just peaceful. The younger ones, it wasn't as much of an issue. They were like 3 and 7, but the 2 older, my daughter was like always making excuses. Not excuses, but she's like, Mom, she's always made me feel bad. She didn't want me to feel bad.
Right.
My older son was not the same. He was mad. He was just mad at me. Yeah. And so we did, group counseling while I was in rehab, and that was really, really helpful.
Good.
And it helped him, but it took a while. It took a while until he was older to finally come full circle. He'd been through some trials in his own life. He realized that nobody gets through this life without something
going on.
And he was able to look back at what I went through and realize, we all go through something.
Yeah. And so how long did you end up staying in the rehab?
I said I would stay 30 days. I'm not staying a day over 30 days. And
I hear that a lot.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you hear that a lot. And I meant it. And at 30 days, they're like, nope, you're not ready. Yeah. And I'd been in there long enough that I was like, I don't think I am ready. Like, I felt safe in there and I was comfortable. And then I ended up staying 78 days.
Really? Wow.
And my graduation day was on my birthday. So now it's my re-birthday.
Yeah.
My actual birthday, February 20th. So I went in December 5th, left February 20th on my birthday, graduated. And I was scared to death. Like, when they told me I was being released, I was like, no. Like, I went in kicking and screaming, and I went out kicking and screaming.
It's like you're taking away this.
So afraid.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people go through that when they get comfortable in this place they've been staying and they get all this help and support. Then it's like, now it's going to be me. It's on me. Yeah, it's on me now.
And there's a good reason to be scared because it's hard when you get out. Like, you have to read. I was lucky that I didn't have to, get rid of a whole group of people that I hang out with, friends that were bad influences. Right. I didn't even have that, and it was still hard for me. I looked at people I was in rehab with and the situations they were going back to, and I thought, wow,
how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I'm so grateful for my situation. But I still stumbled and fell, a handful of times, and they threatened to bring me back in. I got by not having to go back in by the skin of my teeth, and they kept 100 meetings in 100 days, so I went to AA for 100 meetings in 100 days, and that was really, really important and great, helpful.
Kept you focused, kept you accountable, kept you where you need to be. Yeah.
Yep. And so, it was rocky for a year, but then I started getting with the program, and then I started the blog.
So how did the blog come to? I mean, you basically, as soon as you were kind of done with rehab, you came up with this idea. What was it?
That goes back to rehab too, because I received the most important piece of advice I've ever received in my life in rehab, and that was from my counselor who told me, Jill, you need to find your passion or you're going to end up right back here where you started. And that was terrifying to think about. But when I thought about it, I thought, she's right. I need something to be passionate about instead of addiction. I took to addiction just like I do with other things. I'm a very obsessive person. I really, once I...
Kind of all or nothing.
Right, exactly.
You're all in or you're not.
Exactly. When I have such an addictive personality, when I hear people say, I took 2 pills and I felt really good, and I thought, well, 10 must be better. That's exactly me. I could see that really happening unless I replaced it with something else.
Yeah.
And the blog, I didn't say like, oh, I found it. This is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my passion. It was more like I was trying to just get through one day at a time.
Yeah, you're like, well, I'll try this. It'll be a good way to get my thoughts out.
Yep.
And
it was a perfect kind of transition from the work I'd done before, because I was working in TV news. I produced a daily talk show. So I knew what people might, respond to and how to.
Very good at writing.
Good writing. Able to write a good headline.
For sure.
Knew what people would react to.
Right.
And it just took off. Like, it really, really just took off. I couldn't believe it.
So the name of it, did you have that right in the beginning, or did that come later?
It was the name that I thought of at 1 a.m. as I was sitting on my laptop. I'm like, I'm going to start a blog. And I want it to be once a day, because I'm used to TV news. So we every day, 24/7.
Yeah, something new every day.
Most blogs are like once a week or a couple times a week,
right.
At least back then. But I'm like, I'm just do one thing a day. I'm just going to share one good thing every day. And then I just added by Jillee on it, because it's funny how Jillee came, because I used to go on like chat rooms, or like my son, my second son, he has type 1 diabetes, and he got it when he was 2. And so I went online trying to find other parents of children with diabetes. And so I got in this chat room thing with other parents, and all the nicknames that were Jill or Jillee with a Y or anything were taken, and so it ended up being Jillee with 2 E's. That's how it happened, because that was my nickname.
I was wondering where that came
on
from.
The internet back in the day. And
that's awesome.
And one thing that I often forget about is when I had my second child, my daughter, that's when I started staying home, full time. I was staying home raising the 2 kids. But I needed something,
right.
And so I taught myself HTML, because we were all just getting online. This would have been 1991.
Okay.
And I got my CompuServe.
Yeah, right.
And I taught myself HTML, and I made a little web page, and that didn't really last that long. But I had that experience that
Which
when down the line I decided to start a blog, I'm like, hey, I could probably do this. And I feel like everything just kind of came together. Like, the background that I had was really helpful for what I wanted to do, and I'm passionate about creating good content for people that is useful, that will make their lives better, and that they will respond to. So that's
love it.
Wow,
I love it. So, and I love how, you just started off it was more to kind of help you.
Absolutely.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, I want to give back. So how did it, get to the point where it is now? It's amazing. 4 million views a month.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I honestly, it really just took off. I think people online were kind of hungry for something that could help their lives be, what's the word I'm looking for? They were kind of hankering back to an older time, like their mom made more homemade things at home,
right.
and did more DIY projects at home, and dad.
Yeah.
And I think, it was kind of the time people were starting to move to a farm and make their own jam and jelly and honey, things like that. So I think people were just kind of drawn to the kind of things that I was posting about, like little simple how-tos on how to make things easier in life, like sure. Simple recipes. Everything was simple. Like, I'm not into fancy, really right. complicated crafts or food or anything.
Just simplifying life.
Very simple things.
Which kind of goes back to when you think back when you were married, raising 4 kids, working, doing all these things, and it seemed very complicated to you.
Exactly.
It was a complicated situation. So it makes sense to me why this is so relevant to you now, and it's so therapeutic for you, is because now you've just simplified. Look how simple this can be.
That rings so true to me. Just simple in all aspects of my life, with the blog and with my spirituality, everything. I just was so complicated for me before and so hard, and now I've just learned to let that go and just I can do what I can do, and that's all I can do, and I have to be happy with myself.
Right.
But yeah, it's all about simple in my book, and that's really the basis of what One Good Thing is. It's just one good thing a day to help.
Well, that's what I've gone through your website, and I've read through things, and I've clicked on videos and things like that, and that's what came across. Is just, this is so simple, so clean.
Yep.
Your website's clean. It's simple. But I think that's the beauty of it, and that's the power of it, is because I think people get there and they go, "Oh wow, this I can relate with this."
And
This one
they
thing
could
I
like
can
go
do
to
that
their
today.
kitchen right now. Like they could take 10 steps to their kitchen, make it right there.
Right.
And I think that empowers people, makes them feel good about themselves, do more for themselves.
Yeah. And really, listeners, I mean, this is no joke. I mean, you've been featured on some of the biggest platforms out there, and I mean, this is pretty amazing. How it started. 1 a.m, had this idea.
I had this old green leather chair that I sat in our front room, and I was working full time at that time, so I was staying up till like 2 a.m. every night doing it because it was my passion. And soon the idea of turning to alcohol, it went away because I had something else that was even better.
Yeah,
much better.
Sure. Well, I'm going to ask you kind of a loaded question here, because I know there's a lot that you learned in going through this addiction and overcoming alcohol. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you came away with? Whether it was in the rehab or, what would that be, do you think?
I think personally mine was that I never thought of myself as a judgmental person before I went through what I did. But afterwards, looking back, I probably was, like all of us are. We all are judgmental to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like I don't have a judgmental bone in my body. Like, if I do, it's a very small one, because I just have realized that everyone goes through something. I complained to my husband, mine just had to be so obvious. Why did mine have to be so obvious? But in a way, that was a blessing too, because I got help really quick. It didn't go on for years and years and decades.
Exactly.
Which I hear from people all the time that they suffer through.
Happens a lot, yeah.
So, and I think for me and my family, that was probably a really amazing lesson for us all to learn. After I wrote my book, One Good Life, each of my kids sat down and read it on their own, and my husband. And each one of them, after they read the book, came up to me with tears just streaming down their face. They said, I had no idea what you'd gone through. And I'm like, I know you didn't, but and so if nobody else but me had bought that book, it would have been worth it just for that.
Just
for that
for
moment, for my kids to know that this is what led to it. This is how, everything that went down. And so they are the same. They are not judgmental. We are just a loving family. We try to treat everyone love and kindness and not
That's amazing. I love what you said there. Like, it had you just written it for the family, it would have been worth it. I say this to my clients all the time. If you want to leave a legacy, you have to write your story down, even if it is just for your family.
Absolutely.
You have to own your story, because if you don't own your story, it will own you. And I love that, what you said. Even if it's just your family that ever read it, you're going to leave a legacy that will be there forever.
Yes.
Because it's written. So I love that you said that.
And I learned that, afterwards. I wish I'd known in the beginning. I thought, I'm going to read this book. This will be so great. But it was just like, I don't care if anyone else. And also, if it helps one person who's in the same situation I was, to know that they're not alone, that would have been worth it also. Because I literally, I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent person. Like, I graduated from college.
You're smart.
And I'm pretty high IQ, but I thought I was the only one. I literally thought no other mom or wife would ever do such a thing. I felt so alone. And it was going into rehab, and the first day I saw there were nurses and doctors and cowboys and grandmas and attorneys and florists. And it just blew my mind that I was not the only one.
Wow.
I want people, that's what I want people to know.
So outside of the blog, which is amazing, and I know that's your passion, and that what keeps you going? Like, what do you do in a day? What does a day look like for Jill?
It looks a lot different than it used to. When I first started, like I said, I was working full time. And every night I was up till 2 a.m. because I just really felt it was a passion. And once it started to take off, it was even more exciting to me, because like a year and a half, I think I'd been doing a year and a half. I was able to quit my full-time job and just focus on the blog. That was so exciting for me.
I bet it was.
Because like I said, I have a little bit of a rebel in me. I don't mind working hard, but I want to know what that looks like. Like, I want to be the person that decides what that looks like. You know, am I working till 2 a.m, or am I working from 9 to 5? Or am I working from home? Am I working at an office? So I will work hard. I just want to be the one who
dictating
decides,
it.
what that looks like. So I was so excited to quit my day job, so to
Well, it's
speak.
kind of like all that hard work too paying off.
Yes,
like here's the reward.
It's like, I couldn't believe it, and that was quite a while ago, and I was just making enough to cover the salary that I was making, which was okay. It wasn't great, and now it's gone so far beyond that. My mind is blown at how success. Like, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that I would have this website that reaches millions of people, I would have a 6-figure salary, and the business would be worth over $1 million. Last year, for the first year, we had over $1 million in revenue. I have to pinch myself.
I want to give you like a high five.
That's awesome. And I'm not a business person. I'm not a trained entrepreneur. I didn't go to school for business. So this is all me wanting to have it more, being passionate about it. Bottom line, the most important thing. And then bringing people on to help me, make those dreams come true as far as making business plans and things like that. Because that is not my forte. My forte is the creative side. I need that as much as I need food and water. I need to be creative. Yeah. I need to be, putting stuff out there. And then I've I've been very lucky to hire good people to help me.
To help you out.
Mm-hmm. And so now I have a team of, there's 6 of us full time. And so I have a lot more freedom to do things, like this. I can make this the big part of my day.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that, because I'm so thankful to have you on today.
Yeah, so it's a lot of reaching out to people. I just went to Chicago last week to the International Housewares and got to meet with a bunch of big brands. Definitely hope to work with.
I've actually been to that as a manufacturer, on the manufacturer's rep, excuse me.
Oh, really?
I went there for several years to that show. That's pretty remarkable.
It was remarkable.
All the big companies are there.
Every company you could think of, and all the brand new products that are coming out. It was exciting. I had a lot of fun doing Insta stories there.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that I have this platform now, that I can just share what I'm, doing, what I'm passionate about, and and I was telling you before we started that on Instagram now, once a week we share part of my book.
Right.
And
it's
like it's a section of my book, and it's me talking about it too. And I've been absolutely blown out of the water of the people that have just said, "Thank you so much for being real. You're so brave and courageous to share this." And
I needed to hear this.
Yeah. And also through the blog, like, we get comments on my About Me page that just will break your heart in two. Like, they are led there by some higher power. Like, they're on the Googling how to make their own laundry detergent, and they get on my About Me page and they're like, "I needed to read this." That has happened over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's so gratifying.
Well, it just shows everyone's struggling with something. And they come to your website, your blog, and like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to learn about this. That's cool." And then they hear your background and what you've been through, and they go, "Whoa, I can connect with her."
Yeah. Every time people have kind of come in that direction, like they didn't know anything about me, they're like, "I like you even better now." I'm like, "Really? I was a horrible person." No, I've gotten over that.
Right.
I think everyone struggles with something. And it's amazing how many people have addiction in their lives.
For sure.
They're not the addicted one, but someone in their family.
Everyone has someone or knows someone. Absolutely.
Everyone knows someone.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying all this out loud, and where you've come, where you were, and where you are now, I talk to this a lot with my clients. Life happens for you. All of this, all the misery that you went through, it all happened for you. Because had you not gone through all that, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You wouldn't be reaching this many millions of people.
No, I absolutely 100% agree with that. I would not have the success I have today if I hadn't gone through that, because I would never have thought to even try for something like that. And like I said, I started it not even as a business, not a way to make money. It was just a way to pursue a passion.
Gotcha.
And bottom line, if you're pursuing your passion, you'll never work another day in your life, because it doesn't feel feel like work.
Amen to that.
And you will
Couldn't
not
agree
be
more.
as successful as you could be if it's not something you're passionate about.
Couldn't agree more. I love it. If you could give some advice to our listeners, and I got a lot of listeners who are either in addiction, they've been, they've gone through it, or they have someone they know. What advice could you give our listeners who might be struggling and they're finding themselves kind of lost? What's some advice that you can give them, Jill?
Oh gosh, my biggest piece of advice is try to find your passion. Try to find something you're passionate about,
Okay.
because if you are struggling with addiction, you're going to have something to replace that. Otherwise, it's just too easy to go back to it.
Yeah.
I think we see that a lot with people take up other addictions after
They do.
Yeah.
Yep.
the substance abuses.
Sure.
And so it might as well be a good one. It might as well be something that
Yeah.
can make you feel good about yourself, be successful,
And help others at the
and
same
help
time.
others. And that's key. I think the minute I got out, I just knew, just in my heart of hearts, I hadn't even given any thought that I would tell people, I would share the story, because I just knew I needed to. I needed to help others who had ever felt the way I felt,
Right.
because people were there for me and helped me through it. And so from day one, when I started my blog, my About Me page told my story. And that has been just so gratifying.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm answering your question, but I think
No,
living your truth every
living
day,
your
just
truth, I love it. Great
I
advice.
can't go back to the person I was, because that's the person that,
Yeah.
began this
Yeah.
downward spiral.
I love it.
Now I live my life knowing that when you do good things, that's when you're going to be the happiest. That's what brings the best happiness in life. It's not
Yeah.
these other things that
Right.
other people try to tempt you with and tell you are good.
Well, there's a Frenchman named Ferdinand Foch. He says the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. You're on fire, girl. I'm serious, Jill. I love your passion. I love what you're doing. I've done a lot of research on you over the last several weeks, because when I knew you were going to be on the show here, I'm just blown away. And it's
so
truly
much,
an honor
thank
to
you.
have you on here. If people want to reach out to you who don't know about you, there's a lot to do, obviously, millions, but I'm sure there's some listeners that don't know. What's the best way? How can they get to your blog? How do they do all that?
The blog is onegoodthingbyjillee.com, or they can type in onegoodthing.com and it'll take them there too.
Okay.
All of my social media things are by Jillee. So if you go to Twitter, it's by Jillee.
And you spell Jillee.
Jillee. That's important. I'm glad you said that. But honestly, if you just went to Google, that's what I tell people. If you're just curious, just type in One Good Thing by Jillee on Google, and everything you can.
Right. And if they want to, and I went through your about section on your blog, and I did see a lot of comments, and I was blown away.
Yeah,
too.
thousands and thousands.
So it sounds like you do go through those. So if someone wants to leave a comment,
Yes.
they can do that there.
They can email me at jillbyjillee.com.
Okay, awesome.
They can sign up for our newsletters that come out every day. So we post something new 7 days a week. And we have a Facebook group. We actually have created a membership group called OG2 Plus, which gives you access to a private Facebook group where we can be more, personal.
Open,
get
stuff,
to know each other
more
better.
vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's
cool.
been really neat. People that really are passionate about the kinds of things that we do and talk about. That
Very
they
cool.
can talk more with each other and more with me. And I do more
Love
Facebook Lives with them. So
Okay.
that would
cool.
just be One Good Thing by Jillee /plus if
Okay.
they're interested.
Love it. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being on. Your story is amazing. The way you live your life is amazing. And like I said, Scott, many, over a year ago told me about you, and I was like, man, I want to meet this woman. I'm so glad I'm actually sitting here with you. Right now.
I am too. I knew it was going to be wonderful. I had no doubt. And just being back in a facility kind of
Right.
like this just brings back so many memories.
Yeah.
It makes me so grateful for what I have. And
Wow.
I really appreciate you sharing my story. I hope it helps that one person that needs to hear it.
I have no doubt that it will. I have no doubt. So listeners, there you go. Another amazing Belief Cast. I mean, don't you guys agree? I mean, I pinch myself every day. I get to rub shoulders with such amazing people. Again, I have to thank Veracity Networks for their sponsorship of this. And I want to thank all of you for supporting this amazing cause and getting the word out. Please share this with everyone. Like I said, we're trending on iTunes, and it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for all your help and support. And again, Jill,
I will
thank you for
definitely share it with my people.
Thank you. That'll be amazing. See, just stuff like that just blows my mind. But guys, I'm telling you, belief dictates behavior. Passion fuels that belief. And I love what Jill said in her advice to all of us. And so let's go find our passion if we don't know it. If you have your passion, keep doing what you're doing and help other people. And once again, thank you for joining us. And Jill, you're amazing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.